Alright, so now everything's all apart. We're going to put it back together. Right here I've made a kind of a little dummy pin out of a piece of Q-tip. And what that's going to do is allow us to take our trigger and the trigger spring, and it's going to go into place like this. You'll take these and just put it in there together, and take your piece of Q-tip here and just put it through the hole where your pin would have gone into for the trigger pin, and that just keeps that spring in place. So we'll go ahead and, to make a bit more room, pull that trigger guard down. And this here can be kind of a pain because you're going to have to get this end of the spring here to where it wants to come back like this, and it can be a pain when you go to put it up in there. So hopefully it'll kind of cooperate with me. You may have to go from the open side here where you can really get to things and take like an awl or whatever and kind of force that spring back while you're pushing this up inside. And if you make one of those dummy pins out of the Q-tip, if you get it too long, it's not going to work because it's just going to catch up inside that trigger guard housing area when you go to try to even put it up inside. So now we'll go from the other side. And I wasn't getting it lined up very well, but looks like I've got it in there now. So go ahead and take and knock that in. You'll see it pop the dummy pin out on the back side. So we've got that set in place. We'll go ahead and take our trigger bar now and get this trigger bar kind of set in place. You can go ahead and start the one piece into the hole on the trigger. Get your scribe, put it up on the top of that spring, and you're going to want to pull that spring down and get it about down as far as you can. And then you'll take the trigger bar and go ahead and push it on in. And that spring will fit right underneath that. It's probably going to be too blurry to see, but that spring's underneath there. And like I said, that spring keeps that trigger bar from coming out of place. So, alright, we've got that put in there. This slide stop, it's not as bad. Go ahead and you'll see a little channel that's cut away for the spring. Take your spring, just like this here, and set your spring on down in that channel. Put it kind of on there, and then just start pushing that spring down with your finger, your fingernail. And now that I said it was going to be easy, it probably ain't going to go in easy at all. There we go. And you'll kind of see it sticks out. Go ahead and then just take and push it in, and there it is. That's in place. So we'll go ahead and get the sear put in. Get your sear. And got your pistol like this. The sear is going to go in place just like this. You'll see where it's got the hooked portion. And this one here, you kind of have to start it in, kind of turn it a little bit, and then get it straightened out. Alright, once your hole's lined up, you can take your pin, kind of put your pin in there. You might have to kind of wiggle that sear a little bit, and that pin will go on in, and you'll see that you can move it back and forth and it'll kind of flap around. So once we've got that in there, we'll go ahead and take our disconnector, and the disconnector, the foot piece here is going to stick out towards the right side of the frame. And like I showed in a video before on how to get this out of here, you'll just kind of put it in here at an angle and then just turn it and it'll fall right in place. So there, we've got that in place. Get your little piece here that kind of looks like a rod with a spring on it, and it's got this knobbed end here. The knobbed end's going to face to the right, so take a pair of pliers, grab onto that knobbed end, and take that rod there, and you're just going to put that rod in the hole that's in the sear and get your hole lined up. Go ahead and take your pin, get the pin started, and you're probably going to have to kind of do a bit of wiggling to get it to pop on into place. And once that's in place, that pin's going to sit down in there pretty flush, because then you're going to take your screw, and the screw's going to then go on in there and hold that pin in place so it won't come out. You just want to put that in there just kind of snug. You don't want to over tighten it. And here you can see if you move that disconnector, it's moving the trigger bar. So we'll go ahead and we'll take our hammer here, get the hole for the hammer lined up, take your pin, put your pin in place. Then we'll take our strut here, get your hammer strut up in there, line that hole up, take the pin, get the pin down in there, once that pin's in place, you'll be able to go ahead and cock the hammer back, take your paper clip out, and you can decock it, make sure it's going to work there. Go ahead and get your spring back on. The small end of the spring is going to go on first, otherwise if you try to put it on, it goes just like this, that's on wrong. You're going to want to take it and you're going to feel some force when you push it on there. So we'll go ahead and kind of get our grips put in place. Take your grip screw, put it through, get your nut, get the nut started on there, and you'd go ahead and tighten that screw up. And then the last part of it's taking your slide here, alright, we've got the slide on, so now we'll kind of do a little bit of function check here. You can see I've got it on fire and the hammer's staying back. You can do some double action there. We can go ahead and get the hammer cocked back, and when I put this to safe, it'll let that go, the hammer there. So that's all there is to taking the P-64 apart, slide and frame both.